Good morning and welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. My name is Bill Rote and I am a member of the Worship Associates Ministry here at the church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our minister is the Reverend Tom Belote. This morning we have the privilege of hearing Brian Moyer preaching. Brian Moyer is a local musician and educator. He also has a strong background in environmental activism. He lives in Graham, North Carolina, and works in the Chapel Hill Carrboro school system. He's been a member of the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist since 2013. We only have one announcement, but it's important this morning. On July 4th will be our first in-person, in-sanctuary worship service since March 8th, 2020. We hope you will all come. Please join us in singing our opening hymn, Wake Now, My Senses.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as God shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend. Praying and starving, their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiant cheer. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Our call to worship this morning is written by Paul Robeson. I will take my voice wherever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom or the words that might inspire hope and courage in the face of fear. My weapons are peaceful, for it is only by peace that peace can be attained. The song of freedom must prevail. Come, let us worship together. Our chalice lighting this morning are the words of Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.
Come sing a song with me.
Come sing a song with me.
Come sing a song with me,
That I might know your mind, and I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me.
come dream a dream with me.
Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind, and I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Come walk in rain with me.
Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind, and I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind, and I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Hey there. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening. I'm Brian Moyer. I'm similar to many of you. We share similar beliefs, attitudes, values. We probably like some of the same music. We live in the same area of the world, and we go to the same church. Some of you even share some of the same social circles with me. For example, maybe we go to the same musical events with Danny Gotham or Bluegrass Battleship, or maybe we play basketball together. Lastly, many of you share the experience of being in the church choir with me. Since we share so many similarities, values, and beliefs, today you could say I'm preaching to the choir. So my goal today is twofold. One, I want to talk to you about how we could effectively communicate and advocate for a cause. Two, I want to inspire action, hopefully. The phrase preaching to the choir comes from the phrase preaching to the converted and is defined as the following: to attempt to persuade someone to accept an opinion that they already agree with. This idea is also expressed with the phrase kicking at an open door. Both of these phrases are generally used to describe somebody who is wasting their time and energy. But I argue that preaching to the choir or kicking at an open door is actually the most effective use of time and energy, and often the less painful way to get actionable results. Let me tell you a quick personal story that taught me the value of preaching to the choir. In 2004, I showed up to the second interview of a job I was applying for, having no idea what to expect. I was told I was going to be educating the public on important environmental issues, and I would be collecting signatures, donations, and motivating people to write letters to their representatives. Beforehand, I tried to imagine what to expect from a door-to-door job, and I couldn't believe that people would actually listen to anything that I had to say. Why on earth would anyone open a door to talk to me or to give me money or to sign a petition? I just couldn't believe that people would do that. But I had no other job prospects at the time, so I had nothing to lose by checking it out. When I showed up, I was given a clipboard with a short script attached to it. We practiced the script a few times and then hopped into a van and drove off to a neighborhood to organize for the day. I was shadowing this other guy and was very skeptical that he was going to have any success. But the next thing I knew, we were talking to complete strangers about environmental issues, and they were signing the petition, they were writing letters to politicians, and they were giving donations. It completely blew my mind. Toward the end of the night, I was sent off on my own to knock on a few doors. I figured the guy I was following around was just really good or something, and there was no way anybody was going to be helping me with a signature or a donation or writing a letter. Next thing I knew, I was standing on a doorstep, alone, in the complete dark. I could see a family inside watching TV together, and it took every nerve in my body to knock on the door. Of course, they had a dog, and the dog barked louder than any dog I ever heard before in my life. I was terrified and fully expected the person coming to the door to yell at me in complete outrage. But I stood my ground and tried my best to fake a smile. When the door opened, I quickly spouted out in one long breath, "Hi, I'm Brian from Clean Water Action. Tonight we're fundraising to organize and take a look at our goals." And I held out the clipboard with my eyes closed, bracing for the inevitable explosion that was about to happen. To my utter amazement, the person said, "Clean Water Action? I love Clean Water Action. Come on in. Can I get you a drink? Are you hungry? Let me sign the petition. I'll write you a check." A few minutes later, I was walking away from the home, completely astonished at my newfound success. I ended up working on environmental issues on a door-to-door basis for the next 8 years, and collected hundreds of thousands of signatures and raised over $400,000 for environmental causes, all door to door. And I trained hundreds of other people to do the exact same thing. The secret I learned that first night and continue to teach others was exactly what I told you before: to preach to the choir. You see, I quickly learned that my energy and time were my two most valuable assets when organizing change in the world. And I decided right away that my energy and time was best spent talking to people who already agreed with some of the same basic core values. The first one being courtesy, which is why I started all my conversations with people in the same way. "Hello, my name's Brian, and I'm with Clean Water Action. How are you tonight?" If I couldn't get someone to answer that first basic question of human interaction, I often didn't try to go any further. Often people would ignore my first question and would say, "What do you want?" expecting me to go into my spiel so they could quickly reject whatever it is I had to say. But I would often just repeat myself and say, "How are you?" My logic being that if I can't get someone to first acknowledge me as a human being and to extend the common courtesy of a greeting, then I definitely wasn't going to be able to talk to them about the environment or something productive like that. A dialogue can't be had if we aren't first able to treat each other with respect and courtesy. If we could get past that first core value without incident, then I would continue on to the second core value of talking about the environment by saying, "Glad to hear it. We work to protect our air and water from pollution. Tonight, many of your neighbors are helping us out with some fundraising, signing a petition, and writing letters to their representatives." Does that sound like the type of work you would agree with? Many people, of course, would say no. And in that case, I would often thank them for their time and say goodbye. Sometimes when I was feeling feisty, I would follow up a no with, "Really? You don't agree with protecting air and water from pollution?" Which, as you could probably imagine, would get a wide array of responses. But the main idea was to identify if we had some similar core values before getting anywhere near the topic of asking for a signature, donation, and to write a letter. Some of my colleagues struggled with this concept greatly and would often come back with horror stories about encounters they had with non-supporters. Often, these interactions could have been avoided by identifying core values first. Non-supporters will often spend a lot of time questioning your cause and will debate you with the topics passionately for many minutes. In the canvassing world, we call these people time vampires because they're wasting both your time and your energy. The fact that my horror stories were limited just reinforced my belief in the strategy of preaching to the choir. As some of my friends in the preaching practicum class pointed out, my job wasn't just to preach to the choir though. My job was to gather, assemble, direct, and inspire the choir. When looking at change in the world, it turns out you don't need the majority of the population to support your cause. In fact, a recent study by the University of Pennsylvania and the University of London found the tipping point for social change, or to push a belief from the fringes to mainstream, to be just 25% of the population. If you look back in history at the civil rights movement, for example, the majority of Americans did not support the tactics of the civil rights movement. And less than 25% of people approved of the historic march on Washington in 1963, where Martin Luther King gave his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. Arguably the best example ever of preaching to the choir. Ultimately, this speech ended up inspiring an entire movement of social change. The question that comes to mind is, how do you convert others by preaching to the choir? I think this conversion happens naturally because people on the outside witness the choir growing with enthusiasm. Let's face it, that's why we even have a choir. It breeds enthusiasm, and enthusiasm is contagious. This enthusiasm ultimately nudges the outliers in a new direction. but the change ultimately feels like it is coming from within. So, here I am, quite literally, preaching to the choir, and I've given you everything I know about how to approach advocacy. Now, I want to inspire you to sing about your values and help you become that choir. The choir that inspires action with enthusiasm. From my experience, attempting to convert others to see the other side of an issue is often a waste of time and energy. That said, I do applaud those who have the stamina to do so. But personally, I would rather go fishing in an empty barrel. Another idiom many of you are probably familiar with. If you've ever worried about the great divide of our nation, then take peace in knowing that it is not your duty to convert others. If you want to help our nation, find your choir, preach to your choir, and make your choir sing. Preaching to the choir really does work at growing a cause and creating excitement. And now that my choir is assembled, let us sing with contagious enthusiasm. All right, so today you guys are my choir. If you feel inspired, sing along. Gonna preach to the choir, inspire them to sing, make them sway in their seats and act on their beliefs. So let us sing, let us dance, let us be the change we want to see. Let me hear your voice sing those gorgeous harmonies. Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 We're gonna preach to the choir, inspire them to dance, make them move their feet and sing out loud this dance. So let us pick our favorite hymn and sing it strong and loud and proud. Let me hear my choir sing, let me hear you now. Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 Some people say I'm wasting my time, but when they hear the choir sing, they might just change their mind. So, if you're going to preach to the choir, make sure that they believe. Help them in their search for truth. Help them find their meaning. Help them any way you can. Fight for justice and for peace. Help them sing it all out loud. Oh, won't you sing with me? Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 Thanks for singing with me, guys. Go out there and find your choir.
Good morning. After nearly 70 weeks of doing joys and sorrows in this format, next Sunday, July 4th, we are going to be returning to in-person worship, which means we're going to have in-person joys and sorrows on Sunday morning. I want to say, though, that if you're a person who's not able to attend, that you can always send me your joy or your sorrow in advance for me to read during the service. We are going to be recording our worship services and posting them shortly after they finish. So if you're not able to attend, you can also hear all of the morning's joys and sorrows when the service is posted on our church's YouTube channel and website. Each week, We hold in our service a time for sharing the joys and the sorrows that we bring with us into this church community. This past week, we received one request for a sorrow in our church community that I'm going to share. Pat Smith and Susan McDaniel asked me to place a stone of concern for their daughter Sarah, who is receiving treatment for breast cancer in Denver. Their daughter Sarah developed a serious infection and is in the ICU in Denver. Pat and Susan have traveled to be with their daughter and ask that we hold Sarah in our hearts and that we also hold Sarah's two children, Harper and Dayla, in our hearts. Our prayers go to Susan and Pat, to Sarah, to Harper and Dayla, and to their entire family. Our prayers are with them. Second stone and final stone is placed this morning for all those joys and sorrows which we hold in our hearts, which were not spoken. Let us take a moment to hold in our hearts the joys and the sorrows in our own lives, in our community, and in our world. In the midst of all of these joys and all of these sorrows, we say Amen, and blessed be.
Let it be a time
I invite you to join with me in the words by which we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, won't you please join with me in singing Shalom.
Shalom.